Good evening, David Viscott, and we're here together again, and it's live. And you know, maybe it's the night that you called in. I've been waiting for that. But what a night it's been. There's been a lot of shootings in town tonight. There's a lot of tension in the air. The world seems jittery again. Do you think it'll ever get better? And what an interesting time we all have, each of us coping in our own way, trying to find out what our life is about, where we're going in our life, and to make the most of it, to find happiness where we can, and to see if there's something we can do to make it better. But you have to be good about yourself before you can make a contribution. What a night, huh?
A lot going out there tonight.
Yeah, and I've been noticing there's Scott, his wife cheated shortly after the wedding night. He doesn't know whether he can forgive her. That's interesting. There's also a couple, and he can't accept the fact that she is seeing another man. Well,
right.
That's hard to accept, wouldn't you say?
We'll get to Marie and Walter. Okay.
Who do we have to start with?
Let's go with Sheena. She's on line A, and she's angry.
Sheena.
Hi, Dr. Viscott.
How old are you, Sheena?
I'm 27.
What's up?
I've never been so nervous in my life. First of all, let me say, I admire your show greatly. I admire your opinions, and I never miss, not one Saturday that you come on, never. I've been having some concerns, and I'm speaking very low because my mom's in the next room, that my mother might be gay.
Why do you think this?
Well, it's just that I've been having these, I don't know, just these hunches, plus the fact that she has this very close friend, and they do everything together, which isn't abnormal, but something isn't completely, if I may use normal for lack of a better word.
Okay, what do you feel? How do you pick up this information? What makes you suspect that?
Well, I have a lot of gay friends, both gay and lesbian, even though I'm heterosexual myself, not to justify myself. But because I've, dealt with these people, I kind of have an inside look on the little hints of things that go on.
Like what?
Like, oh, God, like the way they go off together and stay all day, like the way when, like for me, for an example, when I call a guy, if I'm calling my friend and we're talking on the phone, we talk in a normal tone, we're just two girls having a gossip feast. But if I'm talking with a guy...
Why don't you just ask your mother?
Oh, I don't have that kind of nerve.
Well, how long have you been worried like this?
I'm not worried.
Well, you're talking very silently.
Well, that's because, I don't know. I'm very nervous for one thing, but I don't think...
Your mom doesn't have your husband?
No.
Okay. How long has that been?
Oh, since I was 2.
Okay. So, why don't you ask her what's going on?
Well, I've confided this to 2 other people.
Well, don't do that. What good does confiding that to anybody else do to you? It just weakens your position. It makes other people wonder. If you have a concern about your mother, ask her.
It's not that I'm in a position where if she is, then I think she should change. It's the only. Let me finish. It's only that if she is, I want my mother to live a completely fulfilled life. I don't want her, God forbid, for her to be in the closet all of her life. I want her to live a beautiful, fulfilled life. And the way that I see her now, it's like something stifled or, it's closeted. And I don't want that for my mother. She's a beautiful, loving person.
Okay. So why don't you help her with that?
I don't have the nerve.
Well, then how sincere could you be?
Well, just to say, ask her. It's easier said than done.
Yeah, but you could say, you could comment about the friendship, and you say, you and so-and-so, you're really wonderful close friends. It's wonderful to see you have a relationship that close. And you wait for your mother to comment.
Well, even if I were to ask her, I don't think because she made the comment to me not a couple of months ago, that we were discussing something, and she was saying, like me, for instance, I'm not gay. And I
She
looked
brought
at her.
that up?
No, we were talking about it.
Did she say, like me, for instance, I'm not gay?
Right. But I looked at her eyes, and I saw, yeah, right. I saw cover up. I saw.
All right, wait a second. Let's just say your mother is going in that direction, okay?
I think at this point it's not going. I think it's there.
All right, so then she's maybe testing you, okay? And she's going to give little signals to you every so often. And what I want you to do is to be aware of those signals, and when you get them, you say, Mother, it's okay. Whatever you are is fine. Do you understand that? Whatever you are is fine. And
Well,
just read her code. A lot of people who are in the closet, who know that they're gay, who aren't coming out, often look for little hints that people are going to accept them, so they drop things around them. You follow what I'm saying?
yes, I do.
So your mother dropped one then, and you would say, "You're not gay, Mother? Well, if you were, I'd love you just the same." And you just go on to something else. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Don't make it into a big deal and stop whispering about it. And don't discuss it with your friends. You show the acceptance for your mother when it happens.
Well, it's not that I was discussing the issue in particular with my mother. I had a very odd dream that I walked into, a very odd dream, Dr. Viscott, where I walked into a party that was a lesbian party, and nestled over in the back corner was my mother. And when she saw my face, she completely freaked out. And all I could do was show her love.
All right, you're going to be fine. Just wait for the clues, act on them, and don't let this carry you away too far, because the thought process about worrying about this is much worse than actually coming out and discussing with her. She'll give you the clue, follow the clue. Who's next?
Okay, we have Scott on line B, and his wife has cheated on him.
Scott.
Yeah, hi.
How old are you, Scott?
27.
What's going on?
Well, I got married last year and went on a business trip for an extended period of time.
How long?
5 weeks.
And how long were you married?
3 months.
Okay.
And while I was there, my wife cheated on me.
How did you find out?
She told me.
Under what circumstances?
Well, it's very strange because I had spoken to her one night, and after that conversation, I was having some very intense dreams that she had done something. And
It's amazing how we pick up these things, isn't it?
yeah, and 3 or 4 nights in a row I had the same dream, and I kept calling her on the phone and telling her about it. She kept telling me not to worry, it was all in my head. And then finally, one night, I just told her, if you got to tell me something, tell me. And she broke down and told me what she had done, because she couldn't keep it a secret anymore.
Okay, so that was how long ago?
7 months.
And what's happened in the 7 months?
Our lives are turned upside down. I'm very hostile towards her, and I can't make love to her. And
Was this a one-time affair or what?
yeah, but it turns out that night that I had called her was the night that she was in the process of doing it. And just the things that she's done and the way she went about them and all the lies. She told me only partial truths.
Well, the worst thing about affairs is not the act itself, but what happens to the relationship.
Right.
And the relationship that was once something that came from innocence and caring and sharing gets lost in all the lies and the deception.
Mm-hmm.
And it also gets destroyed by the feeling that you're being cheated on, even when you're not being cheated on.
Right.
And finally, the thing that really hurts the most is that you end up feeling anger towards her and don't forgive her.
Yeah, I haven't been able to.
Well, what would it take for you to forgive her?
I don't know. I just can't get pictures out of my mind. I mean, I have associations. If I wake up early in the morning, around the time when I called her.
what you're saying is you don't trust her.
I don't trust her.
Okay, that's what that all means.
Yeah.
So if you can't trust her, you don't have a relationship.
No. Well, we've been in therapy ever since this happened.
And what's happened?
Well, the therapist says that we built our relationship too much on sex to begin with, and when that was violated or taken away, there wasn't much other foundation.
If he's suggesting that you shouldn't be together.
No, he thinks we should. He says that I just have problems with
With what?
with dealing with anger. Basically, from when I was growing up, I suppressed it, with drugs and alcohol. And now that all this is coming out, I'm basically
Well, the problem
destroying the whole thing.
Well, let me tell you how. You know what anger is, don't you?
No.
Anger is nothing more than hurt that hasn't been expressed.
Yeah, he says I'm scared.
Well,
And I'm expressing it with anger.
Well, understandably, the main thing is if you expressed it when it happened completely, you'd be able to forgive her. But you're holding on to the hurt, and by holding on to the hurt, you're making your anger seem justified.
Right.
This is how bad you hurt me. I can't get it out of my mind. I still see these dreams, and you parade it in front of her over and over again. And in a sense, you're beating her up, but since you're playing the role of victim, it's hard to point at you. You know what
Yeah.
your wife's going to do?
He's going to leave me.
She's going to leave you. Do you know why? Because 7 months of beating her up for an affair is enough. Either you forgive her and let go of it, and you begin to see whether or not she can be trusted, or you give up the relationship. It really boils down to that.
Well, that's what she says, that I beat her up with it, and when is it going to be enough? When is she paid enough?
Okay, so there's another. So this sounds like the relationship you're discussing is obviously about another relationship, about a relationship with your mother.
No.
Somebody rejecting you. What?
I think I've always had that problem in my life.
What
not
problem?
being accepted.
By?
Peers, maybe.
No, the family. Someone in the family.
Yeah, my parents.
Your mother.
No more my father. My mother's very supportive.
I'm not sure that's true.
Well, I feel like I've turned to her more than anybody since this has happened.
Yeah, and what does she do for you?
And when I talk to her, I feel comforted.
And she tells you what?
She wants me to leave her.
That's comforting?
Well,
That's undermining your relationship.
yeah.
So your mother is not comforting you. She's undermining your relationship by telling you that your hurt is so bad that you can't do anything about it.
Well, she says that I'm still young and I have a future.
But that's what your mother's doing. Your mother is taking on the role of underminer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't talk to her. The person you need to talk to is your wife. Do you trust her?
No, not really.
All right. Do you
She's on a trip right now, and we've made an agreement. No alcohol and no clubs, and
How much drinking?
well, we were going out every weekend.
You get drunk?
Yeah,
Both of you?
yeah,
So you got a drinking problem, the two of you.
yeah. We've
Did
quit.
your parents have a drinking problem?
No, her
Well-
parents.
Listen,
Yeah.
this relationship is a mess. But you either forgive her or leave her.
I'm scared to do either.
Then she'll leave you. It's tough, but you have to come to some terms with this. Either you forgive the person who hurt you, or they leave, because after a while, being unforgiven is also being abused. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I hope you stay with us because we have a lot of interesting things coming up.
Okay, we have Wendy. She's on line D, and she's feeling kind of ripped off now.
Wendy?
Yes,
Hi, how old are you, Wendy?
27.
Ooh, I hear the anger. How long you been this angry?
Well, I don't know, since I gained all this weight, I guess.
When did you gain this weight, and how much?
I'm about 63 pounds overweight.
About 63?
Well, that's what I was told at the
Okay.
diet center.
Okay, what happened?
They had to advertise on television for a special low price to lose all the weight you want.
So I went in thinking I wasn't going to have to spend much money, and I went in there feeling great, and by the time I left, I was feeling a bit deflated because it came out to be, $200-300 they wanted to get from me.
Is this the first time?
Yeah.
How many times did you go?
I went for my consultation, and I bought my first week's food. I have to eat their food once a week. It's been only about 2 days now, but I'm worried about how I'm going to be able to stick with it. It's so expensive.
Wait, you've been with them for 2 days?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And why do you feel ripped off?
Because I was, they advertise this low price, and then you go in and they try to get you to, well, if you want to stay with the program after you lose the weight, it's going to cost $250, and it's going to, and here I was thinking I was going to have to pay less than $40, and the food alone is almost $90 a week.
What do you spend for food now? A week?
Well, in the household there's 3 of us, and for shopping for 3, it's probably less than, it's between $50 and $75 a week.
Okay. So what are you going to do?
I don't know. I thought I looked at this as my last resort,
Wait. Let me go in another direction with you, okay?
Okay.
Because you said the real thing, which was that you were angry at yourself for gaining the weight.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you gain the weight?
I don't know.
Oh, come on. You don't want to know, but you know, right?
Boredom, maybe. I was out of a job for a while.
Okay. So
So
that was eating you up.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm.
When was the last time you were 63 pounds lighter? When did?
Oh, I'd say about a year ago.
Okay. And what happened since then?
Well, I've moved from the Midwest to California.
And how did that affect you?
It's hard. It's still hard.
Yeah, but how did it affect you?
Yeah, I've been scared, depressed.
Why?
Because I left everything behind. My grandmother died, and I'm out here in
When did she die?
October.
Did you gain weight following that?
Yeah.
How much?
Oh, I'd say since I moved here, I've probably gained 15 to 20 pounds.
That was a year ago.
Oh, this is since October. It's probably been about 20 pounds.
Okay, so
But I've been steadily gaining.
since you came out here.
Yeah.
Okay, you're unhappy, and you're eating.
Yeah,
But let me tell you what I can tell you, Wendy, just from talking to you.
Okay.
Okay? You have a problem in understanding what you feel about the things that happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, I'm hurt over this, and I'm sad over the loss of my grandmother, and I'm feeling frustrated over this, what you do is you just feel the feeling but don't admit what it is you're feeling, and you eat. You're using the food to fill you up. You feel empty.
That's true. I left all my friends and family behind.
That's the second time you said that. Maybe you shouldn't be here. Why did you come here?
Because I need to take care of her house.
Whose house?
My grandmother's.
But she's dead now.
Well, it's,
Were you were living with her when you came out?
No, she's already gone when I came out. She was gone, and they needed someone to take care of the house, so I came here.
Okay, but why?
I thought it was an opportunity. I thought that,
But you're unhappy with it, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Yes is the answer.
Yes.
It's not where you belong. You belong with your family and friends.
Yeah, I've considered, the back east I consider home.
Right, and you're feeling bored and empty.
Bored, yeah, that's...
Those are the conditions under which you gain weight. I mean, I haven't even discussed exercise. I bet you just sit home and just hang around and don't do much and just eat.
True, yeah.
So instead of getting angry at a diet or a center or anything like that, why don't you make the correction in your life where you feel happier? Because that's where you're going to be able to lose the weight. You won't lose weight in any diet center. You won't lose weight in any program until you're in a place where you want to be. You cannot get into the body that you want until you're in the mind that you love. Who's next?
Okay, we have Suzanne on line 3, and she's been raped.
Okay, Suzanne. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
When were you raped?
A year ago
By whom?
by my older brother.
That sounds impossible, doesn't it? How did that happen?
Well, he had called me one evening from another brother's house that I was at and asked if he could just come by and, talk to me because he hadn't seen me in a while. And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I wasn't doing anything. And he came over and everything started out okay, but he was drunk when he got there and, one thing led to another.
What do you mean one thing led to another? Were you drunk too?
No, I was not.
Were you drinking?
No, I was not.
So how come you couldn't handle yourself with him?
I
mean, I'm just curious. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, what happened?
He basically dragged me into the bedroom and forced himself on me. And my son was in the house, and so I didn't want to scream or yell because I didn't want him to see what was going on. I was scared.
Okay, and what has happened since then?
I've been going through hell. I'm really emotional. I feel I'm going crazy.
Now, have you had any contact with him since?
I talked to him in September to find out if he even knew what had happened, and he said no, he did not know what had happened.
He had no memory?
He had no memory.
And this was a year ago?
A year ago this month.
Did you remind him of what happened?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say to that?
He said that's not possible. There's no way I could have done that. And I just said, well, I'm sorry, but it did happen.
I have never heard of this before, like this. What do you want to do?
I don't know what to do. I'm real unstable. I'm having a rough time with my son, and I have a feeling it's because of what I'm going through.
Please explain. What do you mean a rough time with your son?
Well, he's being, I would say, unbearable to handle. He's real.
Do you think he saw it?
I don't think so because he was asleep.
So why is he becoming difficult to handle? I mean, what's going on?
I think because I'm so angry and so upset, I'm taking everything out on him, which is he doesn't understand what's going on.
Have you sought any help with, for example, a rape crisis center or like that?
I had called the rape center in September, and they said I should talk to somebody, should get some counseling and get some help, but last year at this time my hours were cut from work, and they're still cut. I've gotten a few hours back.
But they do have rape groups there, don't they?
They had suggested that I see somebody else. They didn't have any place that I could go to and talk to somebody.
Did they say that was going to be temporary, or did they say it was permanent?
They didn't say.
I would contact them again. I would try to get onto one of their waiting lists for a group, because a group would be very important. You need to share it. You need to get other people with you. When he doesn't remember and claims that he doesn't want to remember, it makes it extremely difficult for you. So there's not going to be any sense of resolution with him. And bringing the family in, doesn't sound like a great idea.
They already know, and they support me. They are
They
behind
do.
me. Yes.
Is he an alcoholic?
Yes, he is.
All right. Is he in treatment?
No, he's not. He does not think he's an alcoholic.
Well, then the family should be working to get him into treatment, so that he can get through some of the denial. And when he gets through some of the denial, the chances are there'll be some memory that'll return. But the family needs to get behind you and get you into a rape survivors group, or get into counseling someplace.
Well, at this point in time, my insurance does not cover very much.
Your insurance isn't even the question. You've got to get treatment. There is treatment available.
Every place I've checked, I can't afford. I don't have the money. I know I need help. I know I want to talk to somebody.
It's absolutely imperative that you do. And what I want you to do is stay on the line. We're going to find someone for you.
Okay.
But you must do that. What are you doing with the feelings?
I take them out on my son. I take them out on my boyfriend. He
No.
says that at night I, in my sleep, will scream and cry, and I don't remember any of this, but he will tell me in the morning.
Now, this must be worked through. There's no other way you can find peace with this, because the feelings that aren't expressed as feelings just take over your life and become fears of the unknown, and they become hidden more and more deeply as you try to shut them off, and then they end up with a life of their own, and that life of their own causes sleep disturbances and depression, anxiety, and bitterness. One of the things you can do as you're waiting is to get a notebook and keep a journal of all the events, all the things that are going, that you noticed, that you remember, or that you're told about this, just so that you're getting it out of you. And do you have any, when was the last time you had contact with your brother?
I would say September, October.
Is he still in the family?
Well, I would say no. My mother had written him a letter stating that he was not allowed back to the family until he got help. But I told her that he needs support from the other part of the family.
He really
where,
does.
Where I want nothing to do with him, and he knows that.
Yeah. Well, you're such a good person. I mean, that's obvious. But your goodness is causing you to hold in your anger and let it out at the innocent people in your life, and that's not the way to travel. You have to get that anger out in a way that's constructive by letting the hurt out and eventually forgiving your brother. You know, that's what you have to do. But in order for him to be forgiven, he's got to be in treatment, too. Stay on the line. We're going to get you some help. What a situation, huh? I mean, can you imagine a thing like that? When a person doesn't claim to remember or be aware of the hurt they inflicted on you, you're trapped. You're bottled up. There's no place to go with it, and you feel like exploding. We'll be right back. David Viscott, and we have a lot of interesting calls here. It's just amazing what's going on out there tonight.
Okay, this next gentleman is interesting. His name is Brad. He's on line 10, and he's getting out of control.
Brad?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brad. What do I hear in your voice?
Oh, I'm just confused.
Tell me.
I feel like I'm at the ultimate surrender point.
Surrender to what?
To my anger. I think to just everything that's going on. You know, I'm in this relationship that I've been in for like 10 months now, and I really love her. She's a really neat person. She's somebody I've always wanted to be with. This kind of person, and she's suddenly become my hostage. I mean, I've taken her as my hostage.
Against whom?
Against everybody.
How so?
Well, she's in the music industry, and so she works with a lot of people that are talked about a lot in the news. And so when she brings this kind of stuff home, I kind of freak. I mean, I get really angry, and I start to put down everything that she does at work. And
So you're feeling insecure about your own life and career.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely. She makes a lot more money than I do, which I'm completely jealous over. And I can't tell her that.
Why not? It would free her, and it would be the only thing I could think of that would give your relationship half a chance. You say, you know, the truth is, honey, you make so much money more than I, and I'm so insecure about myself, and I'm so jealous, and sometimes it gets in the way of my loving you, so what I end up doing is I act really controlling, and I act really negative, and I put down your whole world, and I just want you to know that it's really me that I'm putting down.
And the thought of that, makes me cringe. It
But wait.
shatters my ego.
But that's the truth.
That's very much the truth.
But if you said that, you know how she would perceive you?
Oh.
Guess.
My guess is as being willing to give the relationship half a chance.
As being vulnerable. All you're doing is you're being controlling is a way of hiding your vulnerability. All controlling people do the same thing. They use their force and their power over the other person to keep the other person underneath them.
That's exactly what I do.
And she's superior to you.
Yeah.
And by controlling her like this, she has one common feeling all the time.
Which is?
She feels you're unfair.
Oh, I hear it every single night.
Every person who is controlled feels the same way about the way the person who is controlling them, and that is they all feel, every one of them feels treated unfairly. If you feel treated unfairly, it means the other person in your life is a controlling person.
Yeah.
And that's why she's going to dump you.
See, I would, and that's what, I don't want that to happen.
Then give her power.
See, here's the...
No, listen. Give her power. See,
How do I give her power? Just
by letting her be free to reject you.
No, I don't want to be rejected.
I know you don't. That's what you live with. The fear of being rejected. Every controlling person is afraid of being rejected.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Oh, that's for sure.
Now, and if you just said to the other person, you know, I've done a terrible thing to you. I try to control you because I feel envious of you and inferior to you. And I think if you really had the freedom to do what you wanted, you'd walk out of here. So that's why I'm so controlling. Because I don't think anyone could love me the way you love me. So I'm not going to give you a choice. That's what I've been doing. I've been holding you hostage.
I did. And she knows it.
Yeah, but the point is, if you admitted it, you would take...
It's so hard.
Listen to me. If you admitted it to the woman, she would say, he knows it. He knows he's being a jerk. He knows he's being unreasonable. She's been trying to tell you that over and over again, and you tell her it's her fault, right?
Absolutely.
She hates you.
Yeah, she does.
Anyone would hate being treated like that. Tell her she's right. She'll forgive you. And when you come from that position of vulnerability, she'll have a feeling, I got through, there's some hope here. But all she does is say, what am I with that guy for? He's always right. It's always his way. It's always his opinion that matters. No matter what I say, he can find something wrong with it.
You sound like my girlfriend.
I know.
You sound exactly...
She called earlier and left this note for me.
I don't doubt it.
It's right here. You want to see it?
No, thanks. I hear it.
Are you listening to me, or are you going to blow this whole thing?
I'm listening. It's hard.
You're not going to... look.
It's, you know what it is? It's not hard. It's really scary.
Okay.
Because I'm afraid to get really vulnerable.
Let's go to the bottom line. You want to do that?
Sure.
Imagine yourself in another week. She's on to you, and she says, I don't need this. I don't want this. I know someone who likes me for me. I don't feel good in Brad's presence. I feel suffocated. That's wrong. I'm not going to be here anymore. I'm not going to be with him. The hell with him.
I'd be devastated.
You're going to be, because if she has any worth whatsoever, it'll rise to the surface and she's going to dump you.
Yeah.
And guess what? If she called, I'd applaud her.
Yeah. Well, you know, we got in this argument the other night. And,
Yeah?
And I knew that, like, I know there's that sane part of me when I'm in this, like, anger mode that says I'm pushing her away, and one day she's going to take me up on the offer and she's going to leave.
It's not going to be one day. She's going to do it when you're least prepared for it.
Oh.
And it'll happen when you really need her and can't admit that you need her, and she'll turn on you and say, you brought it all on yourself. And just when you think you need her the most is when she'll dump you. That's when it always happens.
And I hear you. I just don't know how to do this relationship thing. I don't know how to be in a healthy relationship.
Tell her the truth, that you're insecure and you control her when you feel bad about yourself.
But then what happens?
Then she'll say...
I want to know the future.
There's no future unless you do this. So what are you talking about?
Well, because I want to know what happens when I do this. Because I'm going to do this.
She'll say, you're right. That's how I feel. And you say, and I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for controlling you all the time. The truth is I haven't felt good about myself, and I've put it on you, and I've made it your problem when it's really been my problem, and that's no way to treat someone you love, and I'm sorry. And she'll say, I don't believe it. The guy suddenly saw the light of day. There's hope. And that's when she'll like you the most, because no one can love a controlling person.
But then what happens
Did
when
you
I
hear
do
what
that?
I said?
Yeah, oh, I heard
No
what
one
you
can love a controlling person. You can only acquiesce to them. You can never love them. Because you can only love a person when you're free to be yourself. And when you're controlled, you're not free to be yourself. So what is it that you're controlling?
I feel like I don't know how to be myself.
Hey, relax. We all know
Easy
it.
for you to say.
Well, of course it is. But until you learn how to do that and just say, look, whatever I am, she'll love me or leave me for me. But not because I'm controlling her. If you control her, she's going to leave you. If you don't control her, she may leave you.
I don't want her to leave me.
Well, too bad. Brad,
So, yeah.
you're 20 years old. You know what you act like?
Yeah, how old?
A 50-year-old scared, paranoid man who's losing his hair and his position and is hanging on to whatever he can.
I feel like that.
That's how you act. They're controlling people are 50 years old right after their 20th birthday.
Oh, man, I don't want to be sick.
You've gone there. That's you. Here's your wake-up call. That's what you became. You became an old man. Every controlling person is an old man.
So the answer is to
Let go.
to be vulnerable.
And to tell her that you've been a jerk and you're amazed that she stayed with you. I guess she really must have feelings, but you've been controlling her because you doubted yourself. Tell her that, and romance will bloom again, or she'll dump you. But she's going to dump you anyhow, so that you might as well have a chance for some romance.
Yeah.
Brad,
Yeah,
you can do it.
yeah.
Go do it.
You reach down deep inside.
Yep.
Thank you.
You can't control anything, by the way. You can't control anything. Nothing in this world that is worth anything can be controlled.
Sounds like he knew. He just needed you to.
Everybody
Just
knows
take hold of
anything.
them.
There's nothing I tell anybody that they don't already know. How could that be? I mean, everyone says it in a sentence or two. Who's next?
Okay, we have Ed. He's on line 9, and he is embarrassed by his girlfriend.
Ed.
Hi.
Hi. How old are you, Ed?
I'm 41. I'll be 42 in June.
You're 41.
Yeah.
Okay. What's up?
Well, about a week ago, I met a girl who's, I guess it's like one of the 1% of humanity that is my intellectual equal.
What does that mean?
Well, it's like I'm what we call an objectivist. I don't know if you're familiar with the term, and so is she.
Yeah. What does that mean for us? For those of us who aren't your intellectual equal?
We are very individualistic,
Yep.
and
And what does that mean?
well, I believe that my ideas and my morals, my moral philosophy on life is my own, and I'm entitled to it, and everyone else is entitled to theirs. And
Yes.
we're
So what's the problem? If you've met your intellectual equal and you both agree that you have a moral philosophy that is related to yourself, what's the problem?
well, the problem is she's very overweight.
What
And-
What difference should that make to someone who has a moral philosophy like yours? If she's an intellectual equal and she's a kindred spirit, what has the body got to do with the soul?
Well,
Or do I hear a chink in the armor there that's opening up and telling me that you're nothing but a great big phony? I don't know.
that's what I'm wondering about myself.
Yes,
I-
that's what you are. It can be nothing else.
Yeah, and
You're a
I feel
windbag.
very dishonest about
You
it.
are. You're a windbag. You're just. I have met my intellectual equal. Can I have a close up on this camera? I've met my intellectual equal, and we're an objectivist sort of people. And my moral philosophy, but she's as big as a house, so she's no good. Please, spare me this.
Okay.
Do you love her?
No, I haven't known her that long.
It's 1 week, right?
Yeah.
So you're making all these. Look at. I mean, you know, Ed. You met a person who's your intellectual equal. You've known her a week, and you're rating her on her adiposity.
What's that word mean?
Well, I used the word fatness because I thought you were an intellectual equal. Adiposity, great weight.
Okay.
Okay? Ed, you're just an insecure guy who's trying to promote his intellect to make up for yourself. You don't feel good about yourself, so you have to brag about how bright you are.
Okay.
Stop it. You're just an ordinary person like the rest of us.
Okay.
What am I getting this okay? It's so tight I could bang a drum on it. How did you like the way I just treated you?
Not very much.
Why?
I don't know.
A
I
little
guess the truth hurts.
Yeah, but you know, you're a lonely guy. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
You're a lonely guy living in an intellectual world, measuring the world by standards that you can't live up to yourself. What do you do for a living?
I'm in computers. I design computers.
You design computers. And?
I do tech writing. I'm a writer, illustrator.
Uh-huh. That's all stuff with the head.
Right.
That doesn't count. Smart is with the heart. The heart is what cuts through. The head figures out.
Uh-huh.
Ed.
So what do I do?
She's a friend.
Uh-huh.
And you haven't had a girlfriend in a long time, right?
Right.
How did I know that? I have a different smart than you. Can you feel it?
Uh-huh.
What do you feel when I talk to you?
I don't know. Somebody that's secure about his position.
And you're not secure about yours. Right?
Not in matters of the heart.
But that's the only thing that matters. I mean, go be a friend to this person. So she's overweight. What do you look like in front of a mirror, by the way?
I'm a little overweight, maybe 10 pounds.
Okay. So you go right to overweight is the one thing that you focus on.
Yeah.
That's all you're focusing on. Ed, stop judging people. It's yourself you're judging and projecting onto other people. Do you know that?
Okay.
Your loneliness should be telling you something about this time of life, that something's missing in your life. You've been too tight about your standards. You use your standards to control your environment, and you use your standards to keep from getting close. Come on, it's intimacy that's missing in your life, not intellectual ability. Intellectual ability is a dime a dozen. Intimacy is what makes life feel close again. We'll be right back. You stay with us. You can't live an intellectual life and feel complete. An emotional life where you feel answered and you feel you can accept life as it is a life that's full of comfort, warmth, and that great ingredient, hope. Welcome back. And, you know, it's interesting having two controlling men back to back. It takes a certain amount of energy to cut through those calls.
Tell me a little bit, though, about what you did with Ed. I mean, you're very tough with him, and you zeroed in that he was lonely, and this was his first relationship in a while.
Well, the point is, there were a couple of options. I could have, you know, been very, very sympathetic and brought him around to seeing that he was lonely and all that. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to get him I wanted to snap him for a second out of his controlling defenses so he could see that what he was doing was he was portraying a whole thing to me that was completely wrong. And when you get a person out of that, they have to be taken away from themselves by shock, and then they can look back and he can say, gosh, what I'm doing here is lousy. Now, it hurts his self-esteem for a little bit, but then he can say, wait a second, this pain is something I want to correct. I'll do something about it. And then I showed him what to do about it. So it's giving him, it's you create a discomfort, and you give the person a safe area to go to, which will give them a better point of view of themselves. Who's next?
Okay, we have Gary on line 12, and he feels that his life is being destroyed.
Gary?
Yes,
How old are you, Gary?
I'm 48.
What's wrong?
Well, I'm very despondent. I have a stepdaughter who's 16. When she was 14, she was out running around with a bunch of her friends at places she wasn't supposed to be and not calling home. And I took her to school, and I had a vice principal talk to her and everything. And about 4 days later, the social services came to the door and said, we understand you tried to rape your daughter last night and that you had been sexually molesting her all her life. And this kind of put me in shock. I didn't know quite what was going on. And I felt there was an incident. She was about 11 and a half, asleep on the couch. She was asleep on top of me. I woke up. I fondled her. I didn't even realize it was her. I was asleep. I apologized immediately, and that's the only incident that ever took place.
How did she get on top of you?
As I remember it, she came in the room. See, the couch was my bed. My ex-wife, now ex-wife, and I had not slept together for a number of years. I was not having affairs or doing anything. She just had reached a point in her life because she had been molested, I guess, where she felt that sex was an unnecessary thing. Because I loved my family, I stayed with my family, and I slept on the couch, and we had a good relationship in many other ways. Sex is not everything, but it did put a strain on relationship for a long period of time.
Well, it just goes to show that although sex may not be everything, that when it changes in a way like this and is indicative of underlying problems, to ignore the change in sexual habits is to ignore feelings that are coming up, and also, in your particular case, is to ignore the fact that the whole house was filled with a kind of feeling of molestation and pain that was being recalled, and it became part of what was going on in the house, even if you were innocent. You follow what I'm saying?
I had no... I mean, I didn't even know that apparently that my stepdaughter had possibly been molested by her natural father, and I didn't know this until all this came out.
Had she?
And her mother was not sure, but she was almost sure, and I was.
Why did you guys get divorced?
Pardon me?
Why were you divorced from the mother?
Well, when this happened, my stepdaughter refused to talk to me. I think she was very angry. I busted her up with her boyfriend and her friends. I found out that she was 14, and they were spending the night there, and there was sex and drugs and rock and roll and all those stuff going over at this home. And I happened to find out, and I broke up what was going on because I felt I was trying to be a responsible parent, and said that she could no longer go there. Their friends could come under supervision to our house, but she could no longer spend the weekends over there.
And where is it now?
Pardon me?
Where is the situation now?
Where is it now? This went to court and everything. The court listened to everything, and the therapist and everything, and felt that I was telling the truth. And they said that the social services said she could come back home, but she refused to come back home as long as I was around.
So where are you now with all this?
Well, I'm living alone.
Emotionally, I mean.
Pardon me?
Emotionally.
Well, I guess I've lost my home, my family, everything I ever worked for. I love them very much. I'm still stunned from a lot of this.
Do you still see your ex-wife?
Pardon me?
Do you still see your ex-wife?
Only time I see her is we happen to work at the same place, and I see her. She is. She started out to seem to be in my corner, but as time went on, it's like, right or wrong, she doesn't want to see you. My place is with my daughter, and you're going to have to leave.
So what are you going to do?
I had been sitting around for about 7, 8 months, not knowing exactly what to do. I know I have to start a life or do something, but it's very difficult. I'm having trouble letting go. You know, they.
What are you holding on to?
Pardon me?
What are you holding on to?
Probably the memories of what was good in the relationship, and that I did love them deeply. And
all that can be true, but you know, the fact is that there are some people who are spoilers, who take a situation, and for whatever reason, they make it bad. And then the situation that you once loved, that was once so positive and good, just isn't the same thing anymore. And you have to accept that. Your wife won't have anything to do with you. This child is still vindictive. And you've been had.
is there any possibility in the future that my stepdaughter will come around, that we can have some sort of relationship? I was a primary parent. I did most of the raising. My wife was either at work or at school. She had a lot of ambition, and I really...
Well, is there any relationship between the two of you at all?
My daughter and my wife.
Your daughter.
She refuses to talk to me. I don't even understand why. I don't understand her anger.
Well, because you represent the projected anger of her own guilt onto you. So she's going to hate the part of herself she hates by rejecting you. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It's kind of perverted, but it makes sense.
It makes sense, but
it's painful.
It's painful. I believe what you're saying, because that's what I've sort of felt like it was, but I didn't know of something that she was able to overcome in her life so that we could have a relationship at some point in life.
Maybe you can, but I think waiting on it is to set yourself up again and to make yourself hostage to an adolescent's rebellious activity which may not change until her 20s. And by then, you know, her mother may remarry. You might as well get on with your life.
Well, I guess that's sort of where I'm at. At 48, it's hard to get on with your life.
Well, it's worse not to get on with your life.
Well, this is true.
You've got to let go of the pain. You have to know that you're treated unfairly. And you know the old saying, sharper than a serpent's tooth is an ungrateful child.
It's so painful. We were so close.
I know, and that gave her power. And instead of trying to reason it through, maybe letting go of it will give you the strength you need to do what you have to do and to find yourself at last. Tough. The things people have to live with, the bad agreements, the poor settlements of a relationship. Sometimes you just have to let go of it and save what can be saved and let go of the pain. We'll be back. We've got a lot of interesting calls. You stay tuned.